Hello, today we are going to be doing something really fun. We're going to be making an animated GIF in Canva.
So if you've ever seen any of those little pictures that move and maybe have like different colors or anything like that.
Maybe something a little bit like this, or maybe even something like this. And you just couldn't find one that worked for you and your situation, and you were just like, if only I knew how to make one, then that would be perfect. Well, stay tuned because I'm going to show you exactly how to do it. Okay, so to start, we are going to make a couple different GIFs. I'm going to show you a couple different ways and tools within Canva that you can use to make your animated GIF. So we're going to make a couple today, and then you can take what you've learned here and hopefully be able to create some GIFs of your own. So let's get started. So when you first come into Canva, we're going to start with a video. You can start with some of the other formats as well, but I personally like to use the video just because it gives the little timeline down here at the bottom, and that just helps you to be able to preview it pretty easily. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is find the elements that we want to use. So you're going to go over here on the side and there's elements, so we're just going to click on that. And I know that I want to do a coffee cup, so I already have searched. So I know that I want to do a coffee cup. So I'm just going to click on the coffee cup. I like this one. And as you can see, this coffee cup does not have a face. And we want our coffee cup to have a little face. So I have found a face here. And then I want the face to wink. So I need to find a face that either winks or figure out a way to make this one wink. But I'm gonna keep it easy. I found one. It has similar eyes and it's winking. So that's the one I'm gonna go with. So I have my two faces over here. And then as you can see, this little the little steam swiggles, I want that to be able to move in my GIF because you know steam does not sit still. It moves, it wiggles, it floats up, and that's what I want it to do. So as you can see, it's part of this picture. So that's going to be hard to manipulate as part of this picture. So what I'm going to do is separate them, and it's actually really easy. So I'm just going to double click on it, and when I did that, you can see I have little crop corners here. So I'm just going to drag that down and cut out the steam. Okay? And then I'm just going to hit enter on my keyboard, and now I have a coffee cup without the steam marks. But I do want the steam marks. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to copy this, and I'm just going to hit Control D, and that's going to duplicate it. And so now I have two coffee cups, but both of them have no steam. So let's fix that. Double click on one of the coffee cups, and we're just going to crop the cup out this time and leave only the steam. We're going to hit enter on the keyboard, and there we go. Okay, so now we need to start putting everything into place. Where do we want all of these different elements? Okay, so we're going to put the coffee cup kind of somewhat in the middle. It doesn't have to be perfect at this point. Put our steam lines in place, maybe make them a little bit bigger. Okay, and then we need to put our face on. So for the most part, he's going to have this little smiley face, and these eyes are still a little bit bigger, so I'm just going to grab the corners and shrink it just a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to put that in place. I think that looks pretty good. Maybe I'm just going to go a little bit smaller. Okay, I like that. And so I'm just going to click and drag to highlight all of those, kind of move it up a little bit, and I'm just going to drag to let it fill the area a little bit more. Okay, I'm actually going to delete the little winky face right now because I don't need it, and we'll just grab it later. It's over here in my recently used items, so it's easy for me to find. If you find an element that you want, and you're afraid that you're not going to be able to find it again, there are a couple things you can do. You can open a new page here, and you can put it down there and just leave it there for safekeeping. Nothing wrong with that. You can do that. or you can click the little 3 dots up here. You can star it, or you can add it to a folder so that you can find it easier. So let's delete that. Okay, and then one other thing is I want to add these words here. So this is our start, okay? And so now we have to build a page for every frame that we want different. So if we want a different color of anything, if we want anything to move, we have to create each of those individually. Okay, so I'm going to show you exactly what I mean by that. The best way to do this is to hit the 3 dots and duplicate the page. Or you can see you can hit Control D if you would rather. So we're just going to duplicate that page. And so now we have 2 pages. This is page 1, page 2. They're completely identical. Click on the second page. Make sure you're on that. And we're going to edit it now. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change this color because I want it as our GIF from before. I'll put it up so you can see it changes colors. Okay, so that's what we're going to do first. So I'm going to click on that, hit the colors up here, and I'm going to choose a fun color. I don't know, let's just do a hot pink maybe. Okay, and that is what we're going to do for that. And then another thing that I have going in that GIF is I have the little steam lines moving. So this is where you have to kind of get creative. You have to be able to kind of imagine what you want your GIF to do and then figure out how to make it look like that on Canva. So this can get a little tricky at times, but I know that you can do it if you just think about it. Try things. If it doesn't work, you can always, take a few steps back, try something new. That's what this is all about, is experimenting, seeing what works. Okay, so if you think about the way that steam works. So imagine you have a coffee cup in front of you that's steaming hot. That steam is gonna kind of like wiggle and and move upwards, right? So what I might do is I'm gonna come back to that first image, and I think I actually want the steam to start down a little bit. So I'm not gonna do anything except drag it down. So if I click from page 1 to page 2, you can see how the steam already has some motion. Okay, but I think I'm going to go one step further. I want the steam to look more wiggly. So to do that, I'm going to click on it and I am going to flip it vertically. Okay, I could flip it horizontally, but that puts the little steam line on the left. And I think it'll make a smoother animation if we keep the small one on the same side that it was on the first frame. So you can see it's moving up. We flipped the little steam line, and so now it's going to have a little bit of motion. It's going to suggest motion. Okay, so let's just duplicate that again. Make sure you're on the third page down here. Let's change our color again. So let's just choose this blue and let's adjust our steam lines again. I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move it up a little bit more, and I think I'm just going to flip it vertically again. Oh, I don't want it to be cut off though. Okay, that's good. And so now we're going to duplicate it once more. And I don't know, let's see what happens if we move the steam back down. Or maybe let's make the steam smaller. So let me hit Control Z to get that back where it was. Because you want it to line up with the frame that was before it. That's why we're duplicating it. Because that's going to give us the smoothest animation. Okay, so let's just make this a little smaller this time. But let me move it back kind of where it was, centered, and you can kind of click back and forth. So you see we still have movement. We actually might flip it again as well just to add some movement there. Let's see what that looks like. Yeah, and don't forget we need to change our color, and duplicate it again. And I think we should add our wink now. So what you're going to do, find your wink and we need it to be roughly the same size. So I'm just going to put it near the other one so I can use that as a judge. Oh, that's perfect. Okay, so it kind of lines up. And now, so that I don't have to move it, because I don't want to lose the spot that it's in, you hit position and then you can hit layers and it'll show you all the different layers. So we're just going to hit on this one, our little regular smiley face, and we're going to hit delete. And so now we have a winky face. Let's be sure to change our color again. How about we do a yellow? All right. And let's also move our steam lines. Maybe we'll start bringing them back down. Why not, right? We'll see what it looks like. And like I said, we can always move it. I like to flip it between each time just to kind of give us that wiggly motion. Okay, and then the last thing is I put some little stars. So I found these stars. And I just wanted to bring more attention to his little wink because I thought that was really cute. Okay, and I'm going to duplicate it. Change the color, but I'm going to leave the wink because I want his wink to last a little bit longer. And that is how I'm going to do it. So let's see, what color? Maybe red. We haven't had red yet. Okay. Did we move the steam line? We did not. So we're just adjusting these steam lines again. I'm just going to click back and forth and make sure that that looks okay. All right, perfect. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is, so I want one more slide or like frame, and I want it to not be winking anymore. And I don't want to have to reline the faces back up or anything like that. So the easiest thing to do is duplicate the first one and drag it all the way to the end. So that way this first one is going to match up perfectly with this. Or the last one is going to match up perfectly with the first one. But we do want to adjust the steam lines. So I think what I'll do is I'll just flip it and maybe just move it up a little bit. And we just want to click through. It's a little different. And then we just want to change the color one more time. So we don't have a purple. So let's do purple. Now let's play it and see what it looks like. So we can do that two ways. We can either move this little time marker thing. I don't know the technical term for it, but we can move this little time marker all the way to the end and we can play and just preview here like this. Or we can hit the play button up here and it'll give us more of like a full screen sort of view. As you can see, it moves really slow, and that's probably not how you want it to be. So what we're going to do is I'm going to click on the last one. I'm going to hold down Shift on my keyboard, and I'm going to click on the first one. And we're going to change all of them at the same time so that they're all the same speed. So we're going to just drag this little bar down until we have about let's see what 0.2 seconds looks like. So I'm just going to hit enter. I don't think you have to hit enter. So I'm just going to click out of that. Also, if you don't select them all and you do it, you can click apply to all pages and it'll do the exact same thing that we just did. Okay, so let's play that and see what it looks like. Oh, cute. Okay, let's play it again. Okay, everything looks good to me. And so that is our first GIF done. So now we're just going to save it. So you're just going to hit share and you hit download. And then you want to make sure that you have the GIF selection. Okay, you want to make sure it has all of our pages, because if you leave one out, then it's not going to be that beautiful animation that you just made. All right, and you just hit download and you just wait for it to download. So we're just going to save it and now we can open it. And here's what we made. Look how cute. A little winky coffee cup. Okay, so this is our next GIF that we're going to make. It has a few different other elements that we haven't used in this one, and so I wanted to show you just the capability that you have within the Canva program. So let's get started making this. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing. We're going to open a video, and so first we need to find our elements, right? That's always step one. You gotta have something to work with. So we're gonna use this, and let's make it big, something like that. So you can really do this one of two ways. You can work on it progressively from the start, where you just duplicate it, or you can do it from the end. So I could sit here and put all of the elements that I wanted, put them in place, right? And then I could duplicate my pages. Instead of clicking on page 2, we would click on page 1 and delete the element that we don't want anymore. Duplicate again, make sure you're clicked on the first page, delete an element. And if you do it this way, so you see it shows up the images a little bit at a time. So I like doing it this way sometimes when I'm gonna have something more complicated and I have one thing coming in at a time. This is so that I can see what the finished product is gonna look like, because if I start adding one element at a time, and by the time I get to the 10th frame and figure out like, oh, I actually need this to be smaller to fit everything, then that's a pain having to go back through to make it smaller and make it match up on every single frame. So sometimes I will create the final product and then work backwards and slowly either delete things or move them around however I'm wanting the GIF to be. So just keep that in mind. You can do it either of those ways, whatever works best for you. For this one, I think it's simple enough that we don't need to work backwards. So I'm just going to click on these frames and hit delete because I don't need them. Okay, so we have our coffee time. And something that you can do is Canva has built-in animations already. So you can hit animate and you can see there are, if you hover over these, there are all sorts of animations that you can do. You can make it grow, you can make it come up this way, drift this way, etc. So I really like this pop animation. I think it's fun, I think it's a little cute, and so that's what we're going to go with. I'm going to make sure that it says on enter, because if it has it on both, then when it goes off the frame, it's going to try and do it again. And sometimes it doesn't make for a very smooth animation. So I just will leave it on enter. Sometimes you may want it only on exit. So just keep that in mind. Okay. So now we're going to duplicate this page because we're ready to add more to it. So if you remember from our little GIF that I have here, I have this coffee cup, this like frappuccino looking coffee cup. I kind of have it zoom in and do a little wiggle. So that's what we're going to do now. So let's get our coffee cup and kind of figure out what size we want it to be. I'm thinking something similar to that. Okay, and so Canva has this cool new feature. So we're going to click on Animate, and you can hit this Create an Animation, and wherever you drag this element, it's going to put a little dotted line, and it's going to move in that path. So when I let go, you can see it moved everywhere that I dragged it. Okay, and you can also make it go a little smoother. You can kind of help steady it. You can make it go super fast or slow, whatever you need to do. Okay, I don't want that path, so I'm going to delete that path, and I'm actually going to click out of here. So I'm going to click the back arrow so that I can move it. So I want the coffee cup to move in like this. So to do that, we need the coffee cup to start kind of off screen. So we're going to drag it to where we have a little bit peeking out, and then we're going to hit that Create Animation, and we're going to try and draw as smooth of a line as possible. Woo! I mean, sort of smooth. Let's hit this smooth. That kind of helps. That looks good. So we're just going to hit done, and then we're going to duplicate that page. Okay, as you can see, it duplicated the animation. So if I play, it's still going to do that. First, we need to get the path to go away. So we're going to click on our little element, we're going to hit on the animation, and we're going to delete the path, and then back out of it, and then we're going to move our coffee cup back up. Oh, wow. Looks like I lined it up perfectly. Maybe. But it also looks like our coffee time is popping again. So as you can see, I'm moving this, and the coffee time, I don't want it to move anymore. So we need to take that out. So I'm going to click on our first frame, or well, our second frame, click on the coffee time, and as you can see, yeah, we accidentally left the animation on. No big deal. Just click on it and then click remove animation. Okay? And we're going to do that for the second one as well. And that should take care of that. Okay. So basically, you just want to line the coffee cup kind of up. It doesn't have to be perfect, but we just want it to line up kind of where it ended in the last frame. Okay? So that's perfect. And we also have some confetti. If you look at our GIF over here, we have some little confetti coming in. Okay, so let's go ahead. I think now is a good time to add that. So let's go to our elements. We're going to add this confetti. We have it kind of small up at the top. It's going to get bigger as it falls down, and then it'll shrink back a little bit more. So we're going to start it as small. Let's change the colors to something a little more fun. So we're going to do the same thing where we do the custom animation path, and we're just going to drag it and kind of do a nice little curve until here. Perfect. Just like that. Okay, we're just going to hit smooth, and then we're going to hit done because we want it to enter in. So now we're going to duplicate that page, and again, we have to remove this custom animation. So we're going to delete the path, and then we're going to try and line it up where it ended. So I'm just going to drag our little like timeline scrubber thing and see, okay, it ends about there, and I have it a little bit too low. It doesn't have to be perfect. It'll just look like it's part of the animation. Okay, so now we want our coffee cup to have a little wiggle. I like to do 3 points of wiggle. So where it is, I like to wiggle it to the right. We have our coffee cup slightly tilted one way, so we're just going to duplicate the page, and then we're going to, remember I said I like to do it in 3 angles, 3 spots. So what I do when I do like a little wiggle is I'll do the center, I'll do 1 to the right, and 1 to the left. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3. Sometimes, just depending on what it is, I might do 2 to the right and 2 to the left, and so then I'll have 5 total. So 3 or 5 is typically what I do. I think that makes a a decent wiggle. So let's just go for that. So we have duplicated the page, and we are just going to get roughly to the center. It doesn't have to be perfect. And then remember, we need to move our confetti down, and I also want it to be a little bit bigger, and I also want it to start rotating. So we're going to do that, bring it down. Let's see what it looks like. Okay, that looks good. And then we're going to duplicate the page again, and we're just going to keep repeating. So now we're going to rotate the coffee cup this way, and we're going to just bring the confetti down a little bit more. Maybe we'll make it a little bigger. And so now for the last bit, what we're going to do is we're going to have the whole image shrink down to nothing. Okay, so it's actually really easy to do that. So we're just going to duplicate the page. We're going to highlight everything. Okay, just like that. and we're going to do a little bit from the bottom, and we want it to stay in the center. So you can shrink it and then pull it back down to the center, or you can just kind of shrink it from both ways and it'll kind of do the same thing. Just gonna move this over here. So we're just gonna duplicate the page, highlight it, do a little bit from this, a little bit from this way. Okay? Duplicate it again. A little bit this way, a little bit this way. Once more. We're going to do a lot now. Because it's kind of like as it gets further away, it probably will shrink a little bit quicker. Okay. Duplicate page, and just make it really little, like that. And then we're just going to create a blank page. Okay. So now let's adjust our timing. So on the last one, we just made them all the same length of time. We're going to do that and see what it looks like, but we may adjust it. We may want some of the frames that have some of the custom animation. We may want those to be a little bit longer. So let's just see. Let's put it all at 2.2 seconds. Well, it's hard to get there, so you can just come and type it if you want, 0.2. And I clicked to apply it to all pages, so let's see what that looks like. Let's play it again. So it's not very smooth, and I think that's because we needed to go quicker. So as you can see, it didn't quite look how it was supposed to. And that's totally fine. So sometimes that's going to happen, and you just have to go through and figure out where did it get messed up. Okay, so we got to make sure that this has enough time for the confetti to do its thing before it jumps to the next one. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make it big, like really long, and then where I see it stop, so it stops here. So I'm going to just drag this to meet that right there. So we want it to go quicker. So we're going to do that and see where that leaves us. So now we can probably drag this to be more like that. So that's the gist. That kind of is what we were going for. So yeah. That is our finished product. So if you're happy with that, you can sit here and mess with it until it's absolutely perfect if that's what you want to do. I'm happy enough with it. I think that it's perfect for my needs, and so I'm just going to save it. So remember, you just go to download, and you just want to make sure you hit GIF and then download. And yeah, then you have yourself a cool new little GIF that works just for you and your needs. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and comment below if you'd like to see more Canva tutorials and what you would like to see. And then also just be sure to subscribe so that you can know when I upload my next tutorial. Go forth and create some wonderful, beautiful, amazing, awesome GIFs that you can use. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!